think if McCool's hadn't been rebuilt, I would be talking to you from Belfast today.
I would never admit that I came back for the club or for the pub itself, but as more and more of my teammates and friends came back to the city, and as the team got its season underway, that became more and more of a powerful draw.
I still marvel at how we managed to accomplish that. It was hard enough just getting the team together. People had obviously scattered to all ends of the earth.
Some of us would change for a few months, some of us would change for a year, and some of us, I'm sure, will carry this experience for the rest of our lives.
It's called McCool's Football Club because it's more about a club than just the team itself.
We started this team about 8 months before Katrina. We started the initial training. Our season, our competitive season, was literally 10 days away, 2 weeks away, whenever Katrina hit.
Just before Katrina, we'd got to the point where we had a team that had been playing together quite regularly in practice games, and we were getting ready for the new season. You know, it's probably one of the biggest disappointments of the whole storm was the fact that we never got to play like first games.
Whenever we came back after the storm, it was widespread devastation, so you didn't even know where to begin. We were very unsure about our future in New Orleans.
I've been with Stephen from we were 17, we're 42 now, and in that time I've only seen him crying twice when his grandparents died, but he cried that day. That actually shocked me more than anything. It was so bizarre.
It was devastating. After the storm, one of the driving forces for keeping us all in communication with each other was Benji. He was the one that took it upon himself to let everybody know what was going on. Even if 4 of them just got together, you know, it was the Finn's crew that he said the Finn's crew got together this morning. There was 4 of us, and we're 300 miles away and reading this and seeing, you know, oh, the McCool's crew got together this morning. You know, it just gives you more hope.
Because I was one of the first people back and had my house up and running, wasn't flooded, I was able to get my computer running. And I used that resource to try and establish an email list to see who was in town and to get people practicing again. It was important just to keep the flame burning. And it was actually quite funny because I remember we continued to practice in the same place, which was just in front of the zoo. And when we went out there to play, on the very first occasion, we got out there and the National Guard had taken over our field. And they had their guns and everything else drawn, and we were like, oh boy, I'm not so sure we can play here today. But as it turns out, we played against the National Guard, and of course we beat them, being a bunch of Americans and all. And they didn't shoot us afterwards, which was a bonus.
The day that we came back to actually gut the place, we started gutting it at about 8:30 in the morning, and by noon there was 25 people here, 25 of our customers who had driven, they would randomly drive past just to see what was going on, and they saw us here, so they were like, yes! So they would go back, get changed into work clothes, and then come back.
It was definitely a very emotional time for everybody involved. I mean, everybody was dealing with their own problems, and for them to even think about us was brilliant. In the middle of the rebuilding, the first party we had when we gutted the building was at the end of November, which was the official end of hurricane season. And we basically got some hurricane lamps, we got a load of beer, and people brought beer, and we didn't even have a bar. It was just basically an empty,
it was an empty shell of a building.
But people came. And
it was like the loaves and the fishes, wasn't it? Because, you know, we had beer and we had food, and by the end of it, and people had left, there was more beer and food here than there was to begin with. And
the only light, as well as the hurricane lamps, the light that we had was people parking outside left their headlights on.
Because there was no street lights.
No street lights, you know, no electricity for miles.
The people here, especially after Katrina, that grew a real bond. Everybody who came back and everybody, all the stories where everybody went. So it was, for me, it was actually almost 50% of the reason to stay here. The group of friends, the people who run the bar, because they all became friends, and it was really, really important. And we practiced a lot, even though there was no games. Fields were hard to find, but we all made an extra effort to show up everywhere, and it was a festivity every time, every practice. So I think a lot of people had a lot of good memories from that. That's where the team really grew strong.
We were playing teams that had 21, 22-year-olds, and they'd see this kind of disparate bunch of people with different languages and generally arguing with each other as they came on the pitch, and they thought, yeah, this team were a joke, and yeah, we proved them wrong. We showed how cohesive we can be.
I think that Katrina experience bonded us together like perhaps no other team in the world. Some of our team members cheated death, literally. Some of our guys went through things that we could never ever envisage. And I think one of the things that happened with this team was a lot of people lost their homes or lost their jobs or lost everything they ever owned, and some of them lost all three. And the team really stepped up for each other, and I think we really did, to use an American term, we really did bond after Katrina, and it brought us so much closer together.